Welcome to the 52 Love Podcast, your show for 52 lessons in 52 weeks. Before we dive in, remember you can find the audio version of this episode, along with the rest of the series, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Radio Public. And now, here's your host, Ms. Tonya Todd.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the 52 Love Podcast. I'm your host, Tonya Todd. 52 Love began as a blog series last year, 52 Love Lessons in 52 Weeks. This year, we are exploring each of those tips with a new guest each week. This week's tip is to stare into your partner's eyes for 4 minutes. And here to talk about it are my guests, Jeff and Meg. Would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Sure.
Hello. Okay, I'll go first. Hi, Meg Zampino, and I'm a writer and a legal recruiter and a lover of staring in my husband's eyes. So it was easy. Okay.
My name is Jeff Zampino, and I am a screenwriter and a graphic designer. And I also love staring into my wife's eyes.
Well, the two of you kind of selected this because you already have some experience with it. Do you want to tell us about that first, or do you want to tell us how it went doing the 4 minutes?
Yeah, we'll tell you about how we normally do what we call eyes.
Okay.
Not super original, but that's what we call it.
It works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've probably done it for a good 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah.
So each night before we go to bed, it's the last thing we do. So if we somehow forget, we'll turn the light on. She'll poke me and I'll be like, oh yeah. And we'll turn the light back on and we'll do eyes for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. And that's just sort of like our end for the day. And then we go to sleep.
So how did you get started doing that?
I think we just kind of fell into it. We did it one night, and we tend to do that we have a lot of little things that we'll do once and we both like it. So we're like, oh, we're going to keep doing that. So we did it one night, and then we kept doing it, and then we gave it a name, and then we just do it. So even like when we're traveling or something and apart, we'll FaceTime eyes before going to sleep. And if we're in different time zones, the person who's going to sleep first does the FaceTime call and gets the eyes before going to sleep. So yeah.
That's really nice. It's a way to reconnect.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in the world.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's really nice. Yeah. It's a good way to create a moment of being very present and very centered and very just in the moment instead of just the hurly-burly of life. So
was it weird or awkward for you the first time that you did it?
The first time that we did this, no. It was just sort of a natural, I did it and she just went, "Aw." And then that was, but
that's always a good sign.
Yes. When we get to the other one, there was a little bit of weirdness, but when we get to that question, we'll
go ahead, go for it. You brought it up. Let's segue right into it.
Well, as much as we love doing it, and as much as we've probably logged in hundreds of hours of doing this over the years, to do it for 4 minutes straight it was weird. We were both laughing a little bit and sort of talking. I mean, I think we probably got about 2 minutes in, and then it started getting like silly.
Yeah, it descended into a little bit of silly because it's like, well, we do this all the time, but wow, it's like, and then we do it usually. We're lying face to face, and then we're just like, oh wait, you're down to one eye because I'm too close to you, so I'm backing up, and like, it was just funny. Yeah, it was cute.
It is a long time, but it's intense.
Yeah,
it is. It's just it definitely is. Yeah.
But in subsequent nights, we settled into it, and we're like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's be in the moment, just like we are for 30 seconds. It's just 8 times as long, but it's the same. It's the same idea, So, I mean, we got relatively proficient at it, I think. So we may add it into our repertoire nightly.
Yeah, do every once in a while.
We do extra eyes, right?
Extra eyes, super eyes.
Super eyes. Eyes with a bonus, yeah.
So, Meg, you said you're a writer too. What are the things that you write?
I write mostly novels. I have written screenplays. I had a computer hard drive crash a number of years ago that kind of wiped down a lot of things. It's probably for the best. You shouldn't be sad. The things that were died on it probably needed to, and it was all right. But I've written both, but I think I prefer novels. I don't think I have Jeff's patience with pulling together the team and doing everything to make a screenplay happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So tell me about your novels.
All mostly like action adventure types of things. I'm working on something right now, and I'm kind of doing a page 1 rewrite because I was trying to do too much all at once and kind of cramming too much in. It's like, all right, I need to slow this down and have better pacing. So.
Well, revision is where the magic really happens. You get it all down, and then you get to go through and snip and trim, and then add what you were lacking and make it pretty, right?
Yeah, what do they say? Writing is rewriting, right? So
yes,
yeah.
So where are you in your writing process? Would you say? Do you just have drafts right now? Have you started submitted anything?
I have submitted things in the past. I don't have any novels published. I've had some articles and things published, but that's been a while since I've done that. I've also done some editing on other people's works in books that did get published. So, yeah.
And I'm probing you because I'm with Henderson Writers Group, and I've served as education chair there for the last 4 years. So one of the things I do is finding these things out and helping people with their journeys. I am not quizzing you to make you feel unaccomplished. I want to know how can I help you.
Quiz away. Yeah. No, it's funny because it makes me think like I was a more prolific writer. A few years ago, and now I'm more just getting back into it. And the questions are making me think, okay, what did I do then? And what have I done now? And yeah, I'm just now getting something that, I'll be planning on submitting again once I finish. So, yeah.
Well, just know you have help. I am here
Thank
for you.
That's awesome. Yes.
But that also explains why I hear you're a really good first reader for Jeff's work, because you're already a writer.
It helps. I get to have opinions, and he can either accept those or reject those. It's interesting because he's a really super good writer, and his voice and his natural gift for dialogue is just really good. And for me, I'm like, this is awesome. Just a little more character development, like after the first draft, because he thinks very easily in terms of skits and funny bits. And I'm kind of like, because novels, you get more of a chance to develop characters. So then I'm always like, where's the character? What's the arc? And asking all these questions. It's like, but he's really good. He takes good notes. Like he'll take the note and then he'll either do it or not do it. And on later drafts, I've learned to just accept if he didn't take the note the first time to not give it to him again.
Because you know that he accepted it and he did consider it. He doesn't strike me as the kind of person who's like, this is my work. I don't care what you think.
No. Exactly. So then I had to learn to okay, back off. It's his work and he has his reasons. Yeah, so.
Right. And who knows, maybe that note will make its way into the 54th revision.
Yeah, exactly. It's always in the back of my head. And we're very different because she will password lock her computer, so I can't read anything she's written until she gets to a certain point.
Smart woman.
Whereas every day I'm like, read this. Is this funny?
I know.
It was the first 15 times, but the joke is old now.
She's like, I'm eating. Can you give me 5 minutes? Right.
It's true. It's really funny because he couldn't read until I finished 100 pages of it. I didn't let him read any of it. And he's like, well, what is it about? I'm like, I can't. You have to read it. I just can't. Yeah,
I understand that. Sometimes let me finish it. Let me finish it, and then you can look at it. This may not even be what it is by the time I'm ready for you to read it.
Exactly. Right. And there's an energy behind it that for me, if I keep the energy kind of into myself a little more, it's there to put on the page.
Right.
And if I'm talking about my writing, I'm not writing and I'm dissipating all that energy. But that's kind of, I think, an introvert's way to look at it.
Whereas I suck in the energy from all the other people. When I'm writing, I want input and I'm in 3 script groups and so we come at it from completely different angles, which is
right. Well, tell us a bit about your journey. What do you write? What are your projects that you've done so far, and what are you working on now?
I started out, I was a theater major in college, so we used to do we would do sketch comedies every month for artists fighting AIDS, and it was free to get in, but you had to pay to leave. And so,
that's interesting.
And so we would do 5 to 6 skits every month or so, and I would write them along with, college friends, and they got it, you know, our senior year, they got to be quite big, and it went on for several years after we graduated. And so I took a long hiatus for a while from writing, and then got back into writing short films. I had met in 2008 a friend of mine in Florida, and we started writing short films together, and he had cameras, so we produced them. So I've produced maybe a dozen short films, and then he wanted to write a feature. So I helped him on the feature, not really with writing, more with the actual production end of it. And then that's where I kind of found my love of production, which is primarily what I do now, set design and production design, a little bit of graphic design and title design kind of work. But now I'm all about writing feature screenplays. That's my jam. I think I finally found what I, writing-wise, been meant to do.
But it does help that you have all this production experience, so that when you're writing, you know, all right, is it even possible to film this scene? You know, you see so many scripts where it's like, this, unless you're animating this is not going to happen.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I had one script that I went way too far with in the budget. And I, you know, now that I'm thinking budget wise, I'm even going back to my other scripts and saying, all right, does this need to be, you know, at the top of the stratosphere?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to really get that, you know, for a sub $10 million movie? So, yeah, knowing production design and locations sort of helps.
So how did last year affect what you do?
It affected me very positively, because I wrote a lot, because what else was there to do? I didn't have an excuse not to write. I'm very good at finding creative excuses not to write. And that sort of bombed all my excuses to not write. So I wound up writing 2.5 screenplays during COVID.
Excellent.
Yeah. And, you know, I read up a lot. I did a lot of reading because, again, lots of time.
Right.
And just kind of tried to hone my craft, met a lot of people. I won a couple of screenwriting contests.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, which was neat. And, you know, kind of helped me get my name out there a little bit. So I actually have met a producer that I'm in talks with. So see how that goes.
Excellent. Ultimately, what are your goals with these projects? Are you hoping to sell them? Are you hoping to film them yourself? Do you want to direct?
Yes to all three, but I'd love to sell one right off the bat, because I think I could write. I mean, doing a film, especially a feature film, is a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy. And, you know, I'm not 20 anymore. So, you know, if I can sell them and be helpful in any way to the people that want to produce them, that's my number one. But I would probably like to try to produce my own feature and direct it eventually. Something a lot more grounded and simplified.
What do you mean by that?
Something minimal locations, maybe rom-com versus, you know, some sort of big overblown kind of tentpole $50 million
Just
film.
something that you can manage the budget on your own without having to stress on the special effects and the the flights.
Yeah, exactly. Putting people up and renting trailers and all sorts of stuff.
Right, yeah. So tell me about the screenwriting groups that you're a part of. Are they ones that you run? Do you? I mean, I know about one of them, but you said there are 3. Do you do you run them? Do you just show up to have your work critiqued and offer critique? How do they work?
So there's one right here in Las Vegas where we live that's been going for longer than we've been here. It's the Las Vegas Screenwriting Group, and it meets every other Tuesday night. It's on Meetup, so anyone that's interested can go and look for that. I run my own, which is basically with a lot of my friends from Florida and a few friends from LA, kind of people from all over the country that, you know, we call it the Vegas Vagabonds because they're not really from Vegas, but, you know. And we meet every other Wednesday on Zoom, obviously, because it's nationwide. And then the third group I'm in...
It could have been a different streaming system.
Yes. Or, sorry, Zoom or one of the other popular streaming systems. And then the third one is out of San Francisco, who is Kelly Krause, and she's awesome. She's a horror writer, so we're diametrically opposed in the kind of stuff we write. But
that can be really helpful sometimes, though, because they they capture a different side of things. Or like, I wasn't even thinking about the atmosphere of this moment. And it works right there.
Absolutely. She wrote this horror, and one time I wrote back because she asked me to read it. I said, well, I'm probably not the best person because I haven't watched a lot of horror, but I told her, I said, there's a moment here if you want to, that you could have a little micro funny beat. And she loved it. And then same with me. When she read mine, she goes, this is really good, but when it's funny, you got to kind of like anchor it in something. And you need a moment to kind of let the audience, let the blood kind of run out of their face. And so, it's kind of nice to work with someone that's on a different.
That kind of feedback is super helpful.
Yeah.
What are the kinds of movies that you like to watch?
I'm pretty wide open. There's not anything I don't like to watch. Probably horror would be my least favorite. But
Why
even
is that?
I don't know. Meg and I talk about this a lot is, there's kind of a lot of darkness in the world already. And there's nothing wrong with horror. Don't get me wrong. And you can achieve a lot by making a horror film because generally the budgets are very low and generally the audience is very huge. I know a lot of people have made tons of success doing horror. It's just not my thing. I can't scare people. I can't make people cry either. I can't write dramatic. I just can't. People look at me and they're like, we know you're a goofball. What's this dramatic thing you're trying to push
I don't know.
into
I
us?
think you can write dramatic. There will be some humor in there, but I think that you can do it.
So maybe a dramedy, but yes. But yeah, like I said, horror is probably my least favorite, but I still watch it. I still go and see, I can't wait to see Army of the Dead.
I'm looking forward to seeing, what's the one with the silence where everyone can't talk? The second
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place 2 is coming out, and that'll be good. But yeah,
a quieter place.
A quieter, even quieter place. Yeah, because I like suspense, and I don't mind being scared. But the slasher gore type things, like the Saw movies, for example, I'm very visual, and I get images stuck in my head very easily. And I feel like if things are going to get stuck in my head, I want them to be positive things. And I feel like those
that's fair.
Really positive
that's one of the
messages.
reasons I asked Jeff why he didn't like horror. I didn't know if was he associating it just with slasher or is it something different. So, I wasn't judging you.
Yeah, I think it's mostly slasher, right? Because we like being creeped out as long as it doesn't, because that's the suspense is fine. But
yeah, there is a lot of suspense in A Quiet Place.
Yeah, the movie did a great job with it. So yeah. Get Out.
Do either of you recommend any particular books for aspiring screenwriters or writers?
Ooh, you're reading one right now. What are you reading that you just had recommended to you that you really like?
Oh, it's a book about scene writing, and I'm blanking on who wrote it. But it brings it down to the scene. It's funny because a lot of books you read kind of talk about the whole encapsulation of how to write a film or how to write dialogue or how to write action lines or how to create characters. But no one talks about the scene as its own unit. And it's interesting to read a book that's just looking at, here's a scene, let's take it apart, let's see what the beginning of the scene looks like and the end of the scene. And that every scene is kind of like a mini movie in itself. And I thought that was pretty interesting, kind of macro/micro way to look at it. And it's nice. For beginners, I always push Save the Cat because it's kind of like when you're learning anything, whether you're learning to ski or you're learning to whatever, there's always the basics that you have to know so you don't hit a tree.
Screenplays for dummies.
Yeah, exactly. So I love Save the Cat. I think it really breaks it down into a very approachable and easy way that you can quickly outgrow, but you're never going to forget.
Right. Yeah.
Like Robert
the elements are there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because the elements are there, but I was going to say Robert McKee and story. Like that's enormous. When you're first starting out, I think that's just an enormous book, and I know people get a lot out of it, and it's awesome that they do. But I think for a very first book, sometimes it could be a bit much.
It's like graduating kindergarten and going straight into a PhD level class.
Take this, So, but yeah, I like writing down the bones, and I've been trying to think of Natalie.
I have not read that yet, but I've heard good things about it.
It's good. Yeah, it's really good. I recommend it. And I'm trying to think of the authors. It's Natalie something, and her last name just isn't But writing down the bones, I guess the title alone, there's only one of them. So, yeah.
Well, Jeff, if you remember that book, send it to me and I'll at least put it in the show notes. So
I will send
recommend it to people.
The link as soon as we get off.
Okay. Do either of you have any advice that you'd like to offer to new writers, whether filmmaking or books?
Write every day. Which is a thing that I do not take myself at all. And I
was just going to ask.
This is what I laughing. No. But when I do, I love it. It feels so good to do that, to just honor that time and that space and to do it and to have the discipline. And no, I've been horrible during COVID. I don't know what's been wrong with me. I should have 3 books done. But yeah.
You're too busy looking into each other's eyes.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all his fault. But yeah, I am a big believer when I'm really accomplishing, when I'm really, getting through stuff and writing every day. Find your time, whether it's first thing in the morning, late at night, just write every day.
Yeah, it helps to do it at the same time every day too, so that your brain and your muse are ready. You're like, okay, we're here, let's show up.
Yeah. Exactly.
And knowing when your time is important too. I am not a morning person. You will not, if you put a gun to my head and told me to write before 9 a.m., you're going to get nothing. It's going to be garbage. I'm not built that way. I'm not an early riser. My brain doesn't kick in till 9 or 10. And I know that. So I don't try to write at those times because I'm just going to frustrate myself and then not want to write the next time.
It's funny because I'm not a morning person either, but writing is the only thing in the world that has ever woken me without an alarm. It's the only thing, if I'm going to write first thing in the morning, it's the only thing that has ever prompted me to get up before noon, I get up at 6:30 now. I wake up because nobody is emailing me at 6:30, or if they are, they're in another country and they're just going to have to wait. Nobody is calling me. No one's at my door. I don't have to worry. I mean, I'm not saying there are 0 interruptions, but the lack of interruptions and just the quiet time make it so much easier for me to just do it. And even though I'm spent after that because I woke up way too early for my body clock, I can get through the day because I've accomplished feeding my soul. And whatever else I have, I can handle it because I don't have that, you didn't write today and you're not going to write today, Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. And I've been doing a lot of that. And it's a horrible, you feel guilty because here's this stuff like your soul wants to write and this stuff wants to come out of you. And yet you're sabotaging it. And I've been doing a lot of that, and I need the 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, that works for me too. I'm a morning person though. I am not, but I will
get up to write.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's just me and the screen, and we can.
And you're doing it. Nice.
And the only time this is something that I did get during COVID, I was able to turn my writing habits into something that far more productive. I'm the kind of person who's, I'm part of Henderson Writers Group. I just do a lot of different things. And so I was always putting my responsibilities for other groups and other organizations and other people ahead of my own. But last November for NaNoWriMo, I started writing a new novel, and I decided I'm just going to get up every morning and I'm going to do it first. That way, nothing will push it off of my plate. It won't get bumped off my list. My morning schedule will start with hours of writing, and, I don't have to hit a certain word count, but every day I have to work on this project. And I was able to continue that until February 9th of this year because I was on set. And that is a great reason to not have time to write. So
yes, exactly.
But the habit is there now. Now that is part of my life, and I will write every day unless I'm on set.
That is awesome. And Jeff suffers from the same thing that you do of he's very generous with his time. And
I can see that.
Regrouping. Yeah. And then regrouping and taking the time to write. But his writers group really helped him because they kept him accountable.
Yeah.
Because he had this thing is if he's going to be so active in these groups, people were looking to him to really bring material every week because sometimes nobody else would bring fresh pages. So
I need 10 pages by 6:30.
Yeah, that's something.
It's 3 p.m. He's like, but he gets it done.
Writing groups do
Gets it
keep
done.
you accountable in that way. And I was
Yes.
going to mention that to you afterward because you were saying that you haven't been
I'm
writing
so-
regularly enough. If you
I
have
know.
partners and you have to be accountable to them with something to read, you will produce something.
Right. You're right. You are right. Historically, I'm not a group joiner kind of gal. Even like in college and law school, I never, I didn't like study groups. I
Mhm.
found that general atmosphere wasn't my most productive thing ever. But you're right about the accountability. And I used to be, once upon a time, I was good at giving myself that own accountability, my own accountability.
Yeah.
And I have to really think about why I'm not as good at that as I used to be, because I used to be very, but now, yeah. So I probably do need to think about either changing my ways or changing how
We're just trying to push you toward productivity here.
I know, and I'm trying to push myself too. So I'm like really thinking about this as I don't feel like I'm on the spot at all. I feel kind of like, okay, what am I learning from this and this moment, and what do I need to do to change, right? Because it feels like something needs to change if I really want to write. Yet I'm not really writing. So.
And so we've just changed your life today.
We did. Thank you, Tonya.
You thought we were here to talk about relationships, but
Yeah.
this is an intervention.
It's
and
an
we need to get you
intervention.
writing again.
I've been bamboozled.
It was all part of our master plan.
Oh.
Good job, Jeff.
Yep. I did it.
So tell us, where can people find out more about you and how can they support your work?
Well, if anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about my scripts or seeing some of my short films, which range from funny to super goofy, you can go to jeffzampino.com, my name. That's my writer's webpage. If you own a business and you're looking for logo design or any kind of graphics related or commercial video related stuff, you can go to type, like a typewriter, monkeys, plural.com.
Typemonkeys.com?
Typemonkeys.com.
And do you have any social media that you would like?
I do. I'm only on Facebook. I tried
Okay.
the gram and I'm like, oh, I haven't posted in 3 months. Well, maybe this isn't for me.
Maybe that's not for you. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. There's like 12 Zampinos on Facebook because my name is so weird. But yeah.
And no pressure. Same question, Meg.
I'll pick up some freelance writing sometimes from Type Monkeys. We have a couple of our clients I do the writing for, and yeah, other than that, the legal recruiting gig, if you're a lawyer and you want to change law firms, you can find me. It's a stretch.
Primarily in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah. But dtlegalconsulting.com. But,
Okay. So I know
yeah,
that Jeff is the one putting his work out in the world right now, but
Yes,
I didn't want to exclude you.
No, and I appreciate that. So now and the rest of me is just hermiting away writing that novel with a new.
She would more likely put her novel on my website. Or probably go straight to Amazon with it. Or something like that.
It's an option.
We'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, do we think we'll see eyes in any of the future works you guys are writing?
Ooh,
Ooh.
maybe.
Yes, perhaps. That could be a nice little
A little nod to each other.
little nod.
Yeah. We do in both of our writings. We have little things that we've like snatched from our interactions. And
Yes,
so,
we have a lot of real life, primarily in mine, but a lot of like little real life bits that get dramatized into the script.
Yeah, it's hard to not make its way into your work when it's what you think about as part of your life. Maybe it's not a direct link to that person, but they influenced it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you both for agreeing to being on the show and sharing your experience with your own eye exercise and then expanding it a little bit, because I know it's different doing it for 4 minutes. So I appreciate you,
nice.
pushing through, powering through, and trying it again.
It was awesome. And yeah, we probably will just make it a part of what we do. Maybe not every night, because we get
No, not every
night. But once in a while, it'll be the bonus eyes. Maybe we can work it out. It'll be my reward when I actually write my 10 pages.
You know what?
Oh,
There
the
you
carrot.
are.
The carrot.
I like it.
Yes. Excellent. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the show. Just remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you like what you saw here, leave a comment and let Jeff and Meg know. And until next time, just remember to treat love like a verb.